So tonight's Celebration Appreciation Corner is for a film that is heavily regarded as a great movie. So it's not exactly underappreciated, but I believe it's unknown. It's a 1960s movie. 1961, I believe. And the film in question is Judgment at Nuremberg. Judgment at Nuremberg. That is the film. Spencer Tracy, Burnt Lancaster, Judy Garland, Montgomery Clift, Maximilian Schell. Great movie. It's a courtroom drama. Let me introduce you to the plot, the folks who are learning about this stuff for the first time. This, by the way, is my favorite courtroom drama of all time. Just a heads up. And I'm going to get into why. But first, let me give you the plot. So the story revolves around Nuremberg, location in Germany, post-war. And the judgment is the idea. Spencer Tracy plays an intern judge. He's part of the tribunal of judges. There is no, in the tribunal that they're setting forth, there's no jury, right? The decision of the judges is final. And it doesn't have to be unanimous, right? If 2 out of 3 judges condemns or sentences the defendants guilty, sees them guilty, then it's over. So that's how this works. And the story behind Judgment at Nuremberg is 4 Nazi judges during the Nazi era. Nazi judges are on trial for war crimes during Hitler's Germany. And so this takes place in like 1940. Oh shit, what is it, like 1948 maybe? When does it take place? Well, that's when the movie's supposed to take place. It's a fictional story that draws a lot of historical facts. So that's what I love about it, right? I love fiction so much. All the characters are original, but the story and the incidents are very much crafted off of real events that happened during World War II. And Spencer Tracy serves as one of the judges to pass sentence on the judges, the Nazi judges. And it dives so much into character. One of my pet peeves often with courtroom dramas is someone's going to be sentenced guilty, and when the witnesses come up, the lawyers, they come up with their clever ways, they talk and this and that. And often I find courtroom dramas, even though there's some real good ones out there, like Witness for the Prosecution, Anatomy of a Murder, I've never felt engaged in the verdict, like whether they be found guilty or innocent. Like, almost like it was, I don't know, it wasn't intense for me or engaging. It was more like you watch a procedure and then you just get delivered a verdict. However, in Judgment at Nuremberg, the performances in this are so intense. And the stories they talk about people getting sterilized simply because they were determined unintelligent. Very moving, very sad, emotional scenes with performance from the witnesses who are there to talk against one of the judges. And the terrific performance given by the defense, played by Maximilian Schell, who's defending one of the Nazi judges, who his name is Ernst Janning. And the conflict of Ernst Janning is that he was considered such a wonderful guy, and he despised Hitler. However, he was yet nevertheless a Nazi judge, and he did pass some bad judgments. But the conflict comes from whether or not he was strictly serving his country, thought he could undermine Hitler, or... So a lot of that is brought into question, whether not 3 of the judges. 3 of the judges were just straight out bad fuckers, right? They were just bad, crazy Nazis. One who just loved it. One who says he was just doing his job as a judge, and it is not their job to circumvent the law. One of those judges' arguments was, since the law of Germany at that time was to condemn people in the manner that they did, he was doing all he could as a judge. So therefore, he should not be found guilty. That's another one of the slimy judges. The I'm just doing my job one. And then another judge profited off of all the people he sent away to the concentration camps, sadly to say, and got their money and their properties. So, and he thinks he's innocent too for whatever fucking reason. He had no excuse. So those are like the three real fucked up judges. And the fourth judge in question, whether or not he was really guilty of his actions or whether he knew what he was doing, I mean, he is guilty of his actions. But the tension and the drama built off of it is simply pointing to the fact that one of the characters brings up, the one defending the fourth Nazi judge in question, was, the question he brings up here is that, yes, what they did was wrong. But the point of this kangaroo court tribunal system is simply this. You are not simply putting these judges on trial. You are putting all of Germany on trial. The whole country. You're going to blame the whole country for what had transpired. Let's not kid around here. And he makes a point of saying you want to blame us for the same things that you have done. And he brings up facts and figures of how it's easy to condemn the character flaw of Germany. He says it's very easy to condemn the character flaw of the German people while comfortably ignoring the same character flaw that Russia did and America did during the time of war. And the points he makes is simply this. If you're going to blame all of Germany, then you must take responsibility as well for your part in the war. Some of the parts they took place, I'm going to give you some of the spoilers here. Some things he says. In 1938, actual true, in an open letter to some British magazine, Winston Churchill said to quote, that someone should send someone as brilliant of mind and power and strength as Hitler. In 1938, the Soviet Union signed a pact with Hitler, and without that pact, and this is also 1930s, I believe, without that pact, Hitler wouldn't have been able to go to war. And American industrialists helped rebuild Hitler's armaments, allowing him to, and they also profited from Hitler and the war, allowing him to go to war. His point, simply put, is that you want to just be like high and mighty, and you want to laugh at all of Germany. It's one thing to laugh at the people who are bad. It's another thing to condemn the whole German people for the same flaws that you are ignoring of yourselves. That's a point the defense brings up constantly in Judgment at Nuremberg. And really, his final speech is glorious about that. And I was riveted by these performances because it's just a dark tale. World War II was fucked up. It's called World War II, not Germany's World War II. I am of the feeling that no one country is responsible for everything, and therefore should not share the blame for any one tragedy. The people involved are the ones who fucked up, not a country, not the descendants. And that's more or less definitely what Judgment at Nuremberg tries to ask the question. Do you blame all of Germany, or are you going to step up and see that we all kind of fucked up around that time? It was a bad fucking time. Let's not kid around here. And the performances that come out of this movie. Now, I know that's got a little heavy-handed when I'm talking about, but that's what the movie talks about, right? The only part that I just said was, on my opinion, is I don't believe in blaming a whole country for the crappiness and the shittiness of several, even in the millions, individuals. I don't believe in blaming a whole country. So that's the only part of me you got out. But everything else I talked to you about, the heavy stuff that's in this film, that comes right from the film. Chia got. Very relatable to a DC comic book series I read. Yeah, I'm sure it is. And the reason why it wasn't the verdict that I was curious in hearing how they would sentence the Nazi judges, right? But the intensity and the grippiness of the film is from the performances and the crap they went through, and the fact that it was just a bad time. And the message is try to do what is right within a bad time with what little you can do. That's what Spencer Tracy's character kind of conveys. He's just walking around, not passing judgment on the German people, which is great. And he's just trying to figure out what all went wrong. I mean, he's never been to Germany before in the film. Spencer Tracy's character is his first time in Germany, and at Nuremberg. And a wonderful performance by Judy Garland, by the way. And so Spencer Tracy just goes around just feeling out what was it like for the people. He couldn't have known, and he asked them. The house he's staying in, which was claimed by the American army as their property because, the war is over. Spoilers of war thing. It's a very fancy house and whatnot. And so he's just talking with them, what was it like for just the average German citizen? And this movie is long, but I find it very moving, shattering performances, delivered with such passion and such vigor. So This, for me, is the best courtroom drama, not because of the cases it presents, but more in the performances that present the cases, right? Courtroom drama try to drama it up with like it's like a serious murder case, assassination case, a rape case, a theft case, political case, and stuff like that. In Judgment of Nuremberg, it brings up World War II. Granted, that's about as dramatic as you can get. However, the characters in question to me elevate the drama more than the case ever could, because while the case is horrifying, you can't feel it if the actors don't pull it off, and they certainly pull it off for me in Judgment at Nuremberg. And one one funny thing about the ending, though, which at first had me and the bee kind of dumbfounded and pissed off, was it did look like the film condemned the entirety of German people, which maybe was part of the message, maybe. Fortunately, the way the actors played the characters, it can be interpreted that just the characters were the ones who were condemned, and not the people of Germany. Like I said, I can't take that, you know? So, it seemed like that at the end. It seemed like that, but it really wasn't. What it really was in the end was just two characters talking to one another and saying, this is just the way it is, you and me, man. We weren't responsible for World War II, but we did have our hands in it, and you are aware of this, and you gotta deal with that. And so, that's kind of how the note the movie ends on. But since it was the camera close-up that happened and the music that played, it really seemed like it was trying to condemn all of Germany, which the movie was trying to say it wasn't doing. Kind of hypocritical, right? So it's like, so you want to try and defend the German people, but in the end you're just going to condemn them. And I'm like, I ain't going to set for that. That's stupid! But, in truth, the movie pulled it off just enough, thanks, in my opinion, to the actors, not the writers or the directors. In my opinion, the actors pulled across that the characters were talking to each other about character issues, not condemning a whole nation on situations and principles that can be loosely interpreted as the fault of a country. So, thank you, Spencer Tracy. Thank you, Burnt Lancaster in particular. You two actors pulled off greatly and managed to make the movie not condemn the country, but more like you have to deal with your own shit and your own responsibilities. So, Judgment at Nuremberg, folks. I talked at great length about this one because I really like this movie. A funny story about it, too. When we first saw the ending, we actually thought it was awful. We actually first took it as the meaning that the German people were being condemned. And so we were like, okay, so you have Spencer Tracy, the American, condemn the German guy who's supposed to represent all of Germany, as the film says. And then you all of a sudden just condemn all of Germany. Oh, great. Oh, lovely. Oh, Americans were so innocent during the time of World War II. We did nothing wrong, absolutely, during those times. And we were like, okay. Oh, thank you, Chia God. So we're like, okay, we're not liking this. But then we watched it again because something in us, a feeling I can't explain, something told me and the bee, we had to give this another try. That even though the creators, not the actors necessarily, but the creators, maybe the director, the writer, wanted to insidiously slip in the idea that Germany is at fault, maybe the actors overcame that insidious plot plantation. And in my opinion, they did. On the second watch, because we were loving the movie the whole way up until that very last moment at the ending. But the actors carried it. The characters carried it. And it turned into a great movie about characters talking about a fucked up time, the faults and responsibility of everyone involved, and in the end we just have to sit with the consequences and what happens. It sucks. It's fucked up. It was the life of World War II. It is Judgment at Nuremberg. So, thank you. I'm giving a big thanks to the actors. Because in Spencer Tracy's performance, in his final lines to the Ernst Janning, the character played by Burnt Lancaster, the way Spencer Tracy delivered his lines was not condescending or like he was damning the character. He was just saying it from one man to another, one judge to another, in a very emotional way, like almost he's sad to say this to Burnt Lancaster's character, what he said to him in the end. So, sadness and emotion says he respected the man, but also you have to deal with your shits. That is some good kindness right there. understanding that someone messed up, but not hating them, right? Spencer Tracy delivered that perfectly. And that is why the insidious planting of saying all of Germany is awful and everyone else is great, America rules, yeah, Spencer Tracy, our American actor, didn't work. The actors overcame the hurdle of sneaking in your little people manipulation ideas. And naturally, the BNI can see this stuff because we too are writers and we are aware of slipping those things in. But we don't do that. We hate telling people what to think or what to believe. We simply like to say, this is what the characters believe. And this is kind of fun for us. But oh my gosh, don't ever tell people what to believe or what to think. I'll never do that. If you think that's me being arrogant saying I'll never do that, I'm better than the other people. No, I don't think I'm better than the other people who do it. But I think it's disgusting. And I will never do it. If in some of my works people think I do it, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. I don't like being told what to believe, and I pass that belief on to you. I'll never tell you what to believe or what to think. Even if it's fucked up what you believe or think. I'm not saying anyone in my chat is. I'm just talking in a general sense. I won't tell you what to believe, because I don't feel I have the right to. So, thank you, Judgment Nuremberg actors. Thank you, Judgment Nuremberg. I really like this movie. Woo, what a triumph of a film, in my opinion. Thanks to the actors. Oh, thank you, actors. Good job. Pachi. So, yeah. You folks in the mood for a good courtroom drama? That's twisty-turny, a lot of crazy good stuff. A lot of deep stuff. Check out Judgment at Nuremberg. I hope I didn't get too preachy during this anyway. I don't think I did. I was just letting you know how I feel. So... I like this movie. I love this movie. I loved it all the way until the end, and then I thought, oh no, then I came back and I loved it still.